Hello everybody, I'm Lorenzo Marchessi and I'm here right at the beginning of this video we're about to watch to remind you to subscribe to my channel. It's very helpful if you do, and also please tell your friends, your family members, and share it if you can. Love to hear your comments and feedback, but just want to make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching and we'll see you soon. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Geek Authority Show. I'm your host, Lorenzo Marchessi, and this is the show where I get to interview all kinds of people from all walks of life, mainly in and around the entertainment industry: authors, writers, directors, actors, producers, cosplayers, publicists, musicians, and many more. You got to check out all the episodes. Today, I have a very special guest. He's an actor and a performer, and especially a magician. Yes, my first real magician online. His name is Micah Cover, and welcome, Micah. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Yeah, it's Micah Cover. I know you were kind enough to ask about the pronunciation. I do have, I guess, an unusual name, so thank you for asking about that. But dude, it's a pleasure. No, not at all. Dude, it's how many Lorenzos do you get? Do you ever get people?
You know, it's not the first name; it's the last name. I get Marchesi and Chassis and all kinds of things.
Yes, that's a better question. So, how is that pronounced then?
Marchesi.
It is Marchesi. Okay,
yeah, it's the Italian CH, which is a K.
You have to do this when you say Marchesi.
But I've heard worse. Trust me. So
I am sure people have butchered your name. Yeah.
Okay, so let's start on that. How, Micah? What is that? If you don't mind me asking.
Sure. Well, of course, your partner in crime is named Michael, and Micah and Michael come from the same root. They're actually both biblical names. Micah is one of the stories of the books of the Old Testament, and it's Hebrew for no one else but Jehovah. And so your partner in crime, Michael, has similar origins to his name. So he's basically no one other than God. So next time, I don't know, you have an argument with him, he might play that card. So just be aware. If he's watching this episode, he's going to be
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Sorry.
Thanks a lot. Okay.
I've let the cheating.
This one here. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. We're gonna cut. We're gonna fix that in editing, in post.
Okay. We'll just move forward here. No. Is it short for something? Like we call Michael Mike? Is Micah?
No, it is its own name. Like I said, one of the books of the Bible, it is specifically Micah, but I believe Micah and Michael come from a similar root.
Wow.
So yeah.
So, begs the question, are you a native Los Angeles, or where are you from? Where were you born?
This coming March, I will, next month? Can you believe that, Lorenzo? Jeez Louise, man. I hope I can say "Jeez Louise" on YouTube because we talked about that. Okay, "Jeez Louise." All right.
Other words, no.
All right, fair enough. All right, if it's too controversial, I'll just go with JL, just the acronym. People will think I'm talking about the Justice League. So either way, it's a win-win.
Works for me.
But yeah, right. I thought you'd appreciate that.
Hello.
Yeah, I know. I want to. Okay, I promise I'll answer your question. But you have the best wardrobe I've seen in an interview. First of all, your viewers want to know, what is your Patronus? Because we can't see the whole T-shirt.
It's Grogu, otherwise known as Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda, there it is. It is Grogu, but as a Gryffindor.
Yeah, I'm a Gryffindor.
Yeah, but so is Grogu apparently.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
I took the what do you call it, the Pottermore test. They ask you questions, and I got a certification, I got a certificate and everything. So I'm officially in Gryffindor, graduate of Gryffindor. So
congratulations. Now that begs the question: did Grogu take the Pottermore test? Do we know for sure?
That one, you'd have to ask Mando. Or if you're familiar with the season finale of the second season, You might have to ask Mr. Skywalker now.
Hello.
So,
Hashtag spoiler alert. Okay,
you haven't
that's
seen
good.
it?
I haven't.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't have HBO, and now I know. Oh man.
no. It's Disney Plus, not HBO.
Oh well, I'm sorry. I don't have either.
Okay.
I don't have. I don't have. Well, I mean, Disney owns everything anyway. It's only a matter of time before they own HBO. But you're right. It's Disney Plus. I don't have Disney Plus. I didn't know that. But oh, look at that. Oh, now is that a Spock Grogu?
Actually, it's Kirk. It's the captain.
Oh, it's Kirk. I'm sorry. Well, I was looking at the ears. Forgive my faux pas.
With his phaser.
Is that
and his ball from the show. And you can barely, I know he's disappearing because he's green, but anyway.
well, with the green tone in the ears, I went with Spock. I will not make that mistake again.
No problem. This is supposed to be about you, not Grogu. Okay, so where are you from?
Right. So you asked a very good question. I was trying to talk about this, and then we got into the whole swearing on YouTube thing. Jeez Louise, March is next month. So this coming March, to answer your question, I will have been in the LA area for 18 years. So technically, it's the longest I've ever spent in any one location. So I guess that makes me an Angelino. But to answer your question, I'm not a native. I did move here 18 years ago from North Carolina. Oh, and look at that green screen. Wow, you got to be my agent. I love it.
If you like it, you like it. Yeah, you're like the first one. Usually when I do the interview, oh my God, we got to talk about you. When I do the interviews, I usually pop it in during the interview and people don't even notice. And I'm like, hey, what do you think? And you're like, you got it.
Dude, well, people are so busy chattering about themselves and swearing on YouTube that they don't notice the details. Dude, you took some time on that. Those are two, I mean, I sent them to you, obviously, but those are two of my favorite photos, and it looks great, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please watch my other shows, and you'll see all my other great graphic work that I've done, including are you a Doctor Who fan?
Yeah.
Okay, I did an intro where I interviewed what I call the ladies of Doctor Who, and I interviewed some of the Doctor Who companions, which are really cosplayers playing the characters. And it's so much fun. But I did all the graphics in the intro, and it was so much fun. Anyway, so
I need to see that.
You are from where? You made me forget now.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I'm rambling, but at least I'm noticing your green screen. Before LA, I lived in North Carolina.
Okay, and at what age did you leave?
Well, then people could do math and they could figure out how old I am. Let's just say it was a while ago.
Okay,
let's just say.
Were you doing acting and magic at the time?
Yeah, exactly. One of the reasons why I moved out to LA was because I thought I was going to be an actor, like so many people out here. Although you have been kind enough to see at least one of my shows where I got to do that.
Actually, two. I saw one of your magic shows.
Oh, whoa!
That was over at. I saw you once at the, I forget what it's called, North Hollywood Actor Studio, and then I saw you in Burbank it was a spooky show.
Right, Haunted House Calls, which is, and again, hence the green screen. I believe that's how we met, because you were kind enough to come to that show. You said some very nice things about it. You were just very supportive, and that meant a lot. Thank you. And okay, so you saw a magic show. I'm trying to think of what that was. But anyway, thank you for coming to both shows. I appreciate it.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought I was going to be an actor, but the only thing that was paying any of my bills were the magic shows. And of course, the Magic Castle was another reason to come out here. And all the acting in North Carolina for me had dried up. I don't know if you've ever heard of this show called Dawson's Creek.
Oh yeah.
But when they announced, yeah, aren't we all? But when they announced that my character on Dawson's Creek was now officially recurring, was the same time they announced they were canceling Dawson's Creek.
So you were on Dawson Creek.
I was a little bit. And let me make this absolutely clear. I don't want to inflate this. Technically, if you are on, at least when I was acting, if you are on 2 episodes of a series and you can claim it to be the same character, I was basically office worker number 2. But office worker number 2 had another cameo in another episode, which technically means you can call yourself a recurring character. And I was crossing my fingers. Well, why couldn't office worker number 2 come back for the 3rd episode or whatever?
Right.
So
and For those who don't know, who are watching, who are unfamiliar with the acting world, basically you were a reoccurring role as a day player, which means you weren't contracted, right? But they'd call
Yeah.
you up and say, "We need you."
Yes, that's essentially it. And yeah, it does mean that you have at least one line as opposed to background, which is very important. And yeah, but well, exactly, you get bumped up to several levels, including pay. So if you have at least one line in each episode, and you can argue it's the same character, and it's at least 2 episodes, you can now argue that you technically have a recurring character.
And you
And
do.
so,
It's not a fake. But I do
yeah,
for people watching this. Can you
yeah.
give like in a 1 minute capsulation what the Magic Castle is? People may have heard
Oh,
about it, or those who
sure.
don't know. Let us know what is the Magic Castle?
Yeah, a very good question. It's one of the reasons why I moved out here. It is the mecca of magic in the world. There's really no place quite like it. Now, there are other places like London. They have a group called the Magic Circle. And of course, Vegas is one of the capitals of magic. But nobody has an actual building that acts as a clubhouse for a group called the Academy of Magical Arts. And this building is literally a castle in Hollywood. And to become a member, you have to audition. You have to pass an interview process, and then you have to be a member in good standing and literally pay your dues every year for the rest of your life in order to maintain membership. And that's what I did, and that's what I do. And it's a haunted castle that is all tricked out. You can find all kinds of crazy pieces of artwork and that's haunted, and ghosts, and there's a ghost that plays the piano and is listening to you and will play your requests. And there are showrooms where magicians from all over the world perform, and it might be my favorite place in the world.
Right, and it's for magicians and illusionists and card. What do you call that?
Yes.
What's the card?
Card sharps or card hustlers, however, or close-up
Close-up
magicians.
magic. Thank you.
Close-up magic, yeah. Now, close-up magic can entail more than just cards, but you're right. It relies heavily on cards. That's what it's most known for, I would say.
Right, and it's been a while since I've actually was there. Many years ago.
Right, exactly.
I had to say 2 magic words to get in.
Right.
and the room changed. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but let's just say it's a visceral experience with entertainment and music, and there's drinks and snacks. And I believe, do they still have the dining?
Yeah. Oh, one of the most famous restaurants in town. And if you eat there, you get VIP tickets to one of the main showrooms. It's a complete experience. It's pretty amazing. And I'm glad you got to go. Assuming the place comes back.
Yeah, but it was years ago. I'm sure it's changed in 20 years. So I don't. I'd love to go back. So hey, wink, wink. Okay. Sure. Let's go back to. So you did this acting. How quick did you move to LA and get Dawson's Creek? Did you get a good agent? Is that how it happened?
Oh, okay. To clarify, I can't remember exactly where the fictional universe of Dawson's Creek took place, but it was filmed in North Carolina. And specifically in a town called Wilmington that had a lot of things that LA has, like access to the ocean, but at the same time, it's not too far from the mountains. Another reason why LA is so popular. But it was being filmed in North Carolina. And for a long time, excuse me, North Carolina was another epicenter of acting. Sorry, I'm not used to talking so much, but yeah, a lot of films were shot there, famous ones like The Crow, and a lot of TV shows like One Tree Hill and Dawson's Creek. That's where they were being filmed. And they would fly in the celebrities into Wilmington, North Carolina to shoot their episodes. And then they fly back to LA or wherever they came from. But yeah, you could make, if you could make it work, you could make a living as an actor in North Carolina, but then it dried up like so many things. Dawson's Creek got canceled, and I took that as another omen. And there were other reasons too, but I took that as an omen to move out to LA. So yeah, it was filmed in North Carolina.
Okay, so he did that, and as a kid, were you doing magic? Even then, were you?
Oh yeah.
I imagine with the hat and the cape and the cane and the
wand. People always ask that. Whenever they see a magician, like in cartoons or something, there's always the top hat and the cape and the wand. There was a time around the Victorian era, some magicians did dress that way, but it was more of a cliche that for whatever reason people latched onto.
Right.
And whenever they think of magicians, they always say to, hey, where's your hat? Hey, where's your tux?
Yeah.
Hey, where's the bunny out of the hat?
Hollywood painted that picture. Even the cartoons show magicians.
Exactly, Rocky and Bullwinkle, and anytime you see a cartoon, and I genuinely think that people were raised on cartoons and some of these Hollywood images, and to this day they still believe that that is what a magician does and looks like. And I can think of maybe one that looks like that, and he doesn't even use a rabbit. But yeah, look at that. I love these pictures you got, man. Thank you again for putting those up.
No, I mean, I'm pointing. That's what a magician looks like. It's
exactly. Yes, thank you. Yeah, a magician looks a lot more like that because, like, for instance,
did your parents? Yeah. Okay, were they okay with this? The acting side? Well, sure, you're making money. I'm sure they were happy. But what about the magic? Were they encouraging?
It's no? As you know, it's tough to make money doing either things and I try to do both in order just to try to supplement my income. And I have to give them credit. They were and have been and are very supportive, but they see how much I struggle, and it can't be easy for them because sure as heck no, it isn't easy for me. Yeah, it's tough, man. As you know, you surround yourself with artistic people. You yourself are artistic. You know how tough it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
And let's not even talk about the pandemic, which shut everything down.
Everything got shut down.
Although we're here now, and Zoom and the internet has kind of revived a weird kind of theater, or should I say alternate theater, but it still allows people to perform, possibly make some money, with the subscriptions and all that. So, but hopefully, I'm going to say within the year, like a year, we should be able to go into a theater. I hope.
The Lorenzo prediction, guys. You heard it. You heard it here first on this episode.
Not within a year, about a year. Because I'm not going to go out, unless I get my vaccine. And seriously, you need 80% of the globe to take it. Otherwise, the pandemic will just ebb and flow. And anyway, let's not get there. So
fair enough.
Do you have siblings?
That's another good question. I have biologically, biologically, I have an older sister and a younger sister, but then I also inherited a step family and two-step families. Within those two-step families, I now have a stepbrother, a stepsister, and on another side, through another step family, I have another stepsister.
Wow. And they've all seen you perform, everybody?
No.
Oh.
Most of them have not. So, I'm kind of a black sheep in the family. I always did it as a hobby, but no one guessed that I would do it as a profession, including myself. So, I got to perform 2 quick card tricks on Zoom. It took a quarantine to make this happen. As you say, it's the new theater. But I did do some magic for my older sister and some magic for my younger sister on Zoom. And that just happened a few months ago.
Yeah. And did they like?
I think so. I mean, the tricks worked. You do your best, you do your best.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So would you say your main interest, at least for the present and moving forward, is obviously you want to pursue the magic. You're a member of Magic Castle, but you want to do more acting. You want to do more, reoccurring roles. Is that another thing? Because I know you're doing theater a little bit, right? Or no?
Yeah, I have done some theater. And as you say, as you so aptly put it, new theater, I've done a number of plays on Zoom. One of the things that I did as a magician, I wanted to do more acting because that is where I come from. So I did a show called Haunted House Calls, which you were kind enough to come attend. And that is a blend of acting and storytelling and magic. And I'm working on another play about Sherlock Holmes that takes a similar approach. So I would love to do more acting
with that immersive kind of experience where you just so audiences know, this show that I saw, you went from like room to room, and there was kind of a sub story in each room, and then a bit of mystery, a lot of magic and illusions. Is that the right word? Illusion?
Sure, man. Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, because I don't speak magician, so I mean, I did as a kid. I had one of those kits, 50 magic tricks in one box and like whatever.
Those are great.
Oh, really? Do they still make them?
Oh, dude, all the time. Penn and Teller make them. Justin Willman, he's become a celebrity in the magic world. He's got his own magic set geared toward kids. But yeah, it's impressive how good that magic can be. And there are some magicians at the Magic Castle who talk about those kits, and they use those magical those props in their routines today.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Even
Yeah.
the multi-ball, I remember the multi-ball one. Was that how were you?
Dude, people use them all the time, especially on the main stage. As you know, we don't want to tip away too many secrets, but it does help to have some distance from
true.
the audience.
Otherwise, the
So
illusion, yeah.
right. So I see that frequently on the main stage at the Magic Castle. People use those all the time. And most of the time they got started with that set that you're talking about in a magic kit.
Yeah, and I remember watching recently a Dick Van Dyke episode, the original show, and he's doing some ball magic with the, then putting it in his mouth and turns into an egg. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that stuff, I mean, obviously still works, but it's up to the magician, sleight of hand.
This is true. And you brought up a very interesting point. There's all kinds of overlap between acting and magicians and celebrities and magicians. Dick Van Dyke is a perfect example. He's an accomplished magician and magic supporter. And that's how I met him at the Magic Castle. He was just hanging out like everybody else. And I got to meet Dick Van Dyke at the Magic Castle.
Yeah, I've met him a couple times. How does he do magic? I mean, he's not part of it.
He does.
Oh, he does?
Yeah. Now, I don't know for sure if he's an actual magician member of the Magic Castle, but he, as you know, even on...
He's probably an honorary one, I bet.
I would imagine. I
would give him the crown, no problem.
I would too.
Okay, I've got a question for you. Now, growing up, I've had a few of my favorites as well, but who would you say is your, early on magicians that you watched, and say current magicians that you would say we should keep an eye on or look for or look at? I've always had two of my favorites.
Oh, don't tell me. Doug Henning and David Copperfield. I'm getting a vibe from you, Lorenzo.
Okay, wait, let me check my envelope. Karnak.
How much are they paying this guy? Yeah, those are your two favorites, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Those guys are great. And as you know, Doug Henning changed magic permanently, forever, for good. And that you had mentioned the cliche about what magicians look like in cartoons. They always have the tuxedo. They always have a top hat. They always pull the rabbit out. And you were kind enough to point to my one of my headshots saying, well, a magician looks a little more like this. And it was Doug Henning who made the world realize, oh no, you can look like anybody you want. If you want to look like a spandex starried hippie, you can do it, especially if your magic is that good, which it was.
I remember Doug had the what do you call those? The straps?
It was like a unitard suspender thing.
Yeah,
I don't know what the
suspenders. Yeah, and no hat, colorful shirts, and I'm like, wow. And
yes, yeah.
But then there's David Copperfield, who I grew up with. Suit and tie kind of guy, very pristine, very, very sleek. Yes. And he'd make elephants disappear and the Statue of Liberty disappear, and
everything. Yeah. And he still did not go the route of the tuxedo, but you're absolutely right. In interviews, he often quotes old movies and Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire. And when we think of Fred Astaire, we often do see him in our minds in a tuxedo, but not necessarily. Yeah, and sometimes he had a top hat, but more often than not, like Gene Kelly was almost like a man of the people. I mean, he was literally dancing in the rain. He couldn't have a tuxedo there. And David Copperfield cites these sources as inspirations for him, his approach, his look. And even David Copperfield, as you say, was much more formal. He still grabbed this idea that I want to look as good as I can, but as good as I want to look. Do you know what I mean?
His style, yeah.
His style, exactly.
Now, are you going to answer my question? Because you heard about me.
Yeah, no, right. But I'm agreeing with you that those two are huge. And I would be remiss if I didn't at least mention them. But to answer your question more directly, more specifically for me, there is a magician named Jeff McBride, and actually, what I practice all the time, he can break speed records and that kind of thing. He does the same thing with cards. He's a card manipulator, and he broke the Guinness record for fastest hands with a deck of cards. And he's so good. I think you would dig this, Lorenzo. He's so good that an audience member saw him once. What's that?
Hold it up.
Oh, you can't see that? I thought it was in frame. I thought this was in frame, but yeah, here it is. And so an audience member of Jeff McBride's, this is a true story, sees Jeff McBride's show and the amazing things that he does. And he also uses theater and masks and storytelling, the kinds of things that I'm interested in. And this audience member approached Jeff McBride after the show and said, "Hey, I'm doing a show myself. You want to be in it?" Jeff McBride says, "Okay." The show, and as an excuse to get this magician into the show to do an episode revolving around him, they created an entire alien race just to justify this one magician being in this one episode on Deep Space Nine. They retooled the Star Trek universe just to get him on the show.
Which episode?
And yeah. No, I don't remember the number because it was Deep Space Nine. I saw it back in the day. I don't remember. I'll look that up for you. But Jeff McBride is on an episode of Deep Space Nine, and they created an entire alien race just for him, just so that he could do this kind of thing.
And he's still performing?
Yeah, he's that good. And he's one of my mentors. He plays the castle about once a year, which is about how often the favorites get, because they have so many magicians to choose from around the world. If you get once a year, you're considered one of the favorites, and that's Jeff McBride. But he also teaches now online, the new theater, as you aptly put it. He teaches online, and I attend his classes. In fact, I'd be attending his class tonight if it weren't for the Force of Nature awards tonight. He has classes every Monday night, and it's open to the public. And he teaches, he and his, it's like Hogwarts online. He and all of his faculty teach you everything they know about magic, and it's absolutely fascinating. And his name is Jeff McBride, and he's still a mentor of mine today.
Anybody else you would?
David.
Who's the crazy guy? Who's the heavy metal guy? What's his name?
The heavy metal guy.
You know, long hair. Well, he had long hair. I don't know if he does anymore.
I think I know who you're talking about. Chris Angel.
Yes.
Yes.
What about him? I can't watch him for too long.
Why is that?
I don't know. Just kind of not. I don't want to say this. I mean, I respect what he does and his style. It's not me. It's not the kind of the kind of magic I'm used to seeing. You know, I'm into the more theatrical and, you know, woo and wow me as opposed to the spectacle. Does that make sense?
No, it does. And it makes me think of Doug Henning again. I completely get it. Chris Angel is a very specific look, a very specific feel. Go ahead. You were about to say something.
Well, no, I was going to say, even Doug Henning.
I thought you were.
He did a kind of like a weird, you know, his personality was good, but he involved the audience. He was always talking to the audience and involving you with all his tricks. And while you're engaged with him, he's making something happen here and something happen here. Whereas Chris is more of I don't know what the word is. I can't put my finger on it.
No, I know what you mean. He is more of a spectacle himself. You know what I mean? He likes the attention, and this is not a criticism, but he likes the attention on himself and his look and his style. Kind of magician I want to be. But it reminds me of how many people had the conversation about Doug Henning. You know what I mean? He's a hippie. I don't like that look. Oh, he's wearing the suspenders. I thought they all wore tuxedos, and I don't know about this. And
I never thought of
stories.
I never thought of him as a hippie. I thought not Doug Henning. You remember Gallagher with the watermelons?
Yes.
To him, I would consider.
Gallagher. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm playing. Sure. Now I'm playing devil's advocate here. I don't care what labels people put on Doug Henning. He's fantastic, regardless of what anybody thinks of him. But it just makes me think of how many people saw Doug Henning as something different and not what they expected and not what they had hoped for, even in a magician. And of course, now, especially with hindsight, we can see how wonderful he was. Although he was terrific in his own day, I think we appreciate him, I feel, even more now. And who knows if someone will say that about Chris Angel? I don't know.
I got a question for
what's
you.
up?
What do you think of? I forget the title of the show, and we watched a lot of them because they were interesting. But it's a show called the Secrets Behind the Magician, or Secrets Behind the Magic. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, everybody asks me about that too. It's a good question. It came out around I would say, early 90s, and Fox put it out. And it was called Breaking the Magician's Code.
Oh.
I believe that's what you're referring to. And there was a magician called the Masked Magician. And the idea was he didn't want to reveal his own identity. So he had, I got to admit, kind of a cool mask on. And they would bust all these secrets. And it ticked off a lot of magicians for good reason, especially the magicians who did those effects. It never really applied to me because I'm more of a close-up guy. I couldn't afford those huge stage illusions anyway. But the people who did and made their living off of it, they were not happy about it, and with good reason. But then there's, on the other side of the same coin, there's the argument that all exposure of magic, literally in this case, exposure, can only help the art, can only help the acknowledgement of it, that it is an art, the awareness of it, and hopefully people will be inspired to get involved. So it's very controversial. I'm not a big fan of exposing secrets myself, but yeah, people always ask about that. And now you've seen it, right? Because you asked about
and I got to tell you, I kind of agree with that first part you said. I think it doesn't not want me to see a magician who does those tricks. I'm more fascinated by, wow, it truly is an illusion. It's truly optical illusion, or it's distraction. Well, I'm looking here, he's doing this. Yeah. It doesn't make me not want to see a magician. But when I see the tricks, like in person, it kind of like, wow, the technology behind the illusion is really interesting to me. So it doesn't hurt me at all as an audience member.
Oh, I agree. In lots of ways, just studying magic, I appreciate the method and the secret at least as much as the performance, maybe even more so. And people who see magic just as a secret, I think they're missing out on the point, that it's more than just that. It's the art, it's the rehearsal, the study, the practice, the honoring of it. Thank you. All of those things, the presentation, the showmanship, everything you're saying, it's all of those things coming together. The secret is just one. It's an important element, but just one element.
Okay. And, wait. So you as a magician who's performing currently, you want to learn a new trick, but you don't have TV shows to go click on, okay, I want to learn some illusions. Where does an experienced magician go to learn more illusions?
That's a very good question. So my mentor, Jeff McBride, he does have these classes that right now, he's doing this during the quarantine, are open to the public. He does them every Monday night, and he teaches you, and his faculty teaches you everything they know. Now, the Magic Castle, when it was open, and once you are a member, you can learn. They had lectures every week. So for instance, and it would usually be one of the headliners of that week. So for instance, my hero, Jeff McBride, might be playing that week. Well, the following Sunday when they have lectures, it might be Jeff McBride, and he would say, okay, you saw my show, here's how I did it. And we would just sit there and take notes, literally, and drool for the next hour or so. But something that has changed everything, the internet, YouTube. You can find so much stuff on YouTube. I'm teaching a student right now. In fact, in just a few hours, I've got a lesson with her. And she shows me YouTube videos where they expose secrets and teach you stuff. Some of it is stuff I've never even seen before. There's a whole universe out there, and there's really nothing stopping people. Even if they want to learn magic for free, it is possible today. I don't think that was always the case, but especially with YouTube, I think that is possible today.
Yeah, I think once you have a captive audience, it's so much fun. I mean, I'm not speaking for you. I'm just saying, I can only imagine if I did it as a kid, but as an adult, the thrill that you get of the jaws that would drop and how did you do that? And all of that is like, got to be fun.
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't mean to interrupt, but as you know, I teach lessons, and if you'd like me to teach you and your fans anything, just let me know. I'd be happy to do it.
Well, you give me your website info. I'm going to put everything that you gave me below. So if people have questions, they can contact you via your website, or
Thanks,
you
man.
can write my channel and I can forward it to you, whatever. But you will be available, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right, let's jump ahead real quick to some of the images you sent me. And
Oh, look at this. Yeah.
so what are you doing here? Are you mad at the audience? What's going on?
Well, I mean, hopefully it doesn't look like I'm angry at them, that I'm celebrating. There was a moment where a magic trick worked and I was celebrating. So again, if it comes off that I'm hurling anger in their direction, that's not what I was going for. But yeah, I'm emceeing, and I believe in this moment, in this particular moment, a magic trick worked, and I was celebrating with them.
Oh, I mean, be honest. Have you had tricks that, I don't want to say didn't live up to your expectations, but just for whatever reason technically didn't work? Or
Oh yeah, on stage it can happen. Thanks to technology. I mean, it happened with us today, with me today on Zoom. When you're performing or even teaching a lesson, I have no idea when my internet is going to crash or my audio is going to go out, as it did today. That alone can sabotage, torpedo what you're up to. But and then on top of that, sometimes the magic tricks don't work, and then you have to figure your way out of it.
okay, what's going on here?
It's one of my favorite headshots. It was, yeah, and I use the King of Hearts a lot because I've actually portrayed the King of Hearts in various immersive experiences.
Okay.
And this is just one of my favorite photos. So thank you
And
for sharing that.
you're a vest guy, right? I'm
I
getting
do like vests. Yeah, I'm wearing something different today because this is my haunting.net, and then of course my Force of Nature where we met. But yeah, I do like vests a lot.
okay. Are we in Vegas here with that nice little lighting back there?
I love that you said that. This was on the roof of an apartment complex in Hollywood. And
Wow.
a friend of mine named Raven, her brother is an accomplished photographer, and he figured out a way to focus or not focus so that the lights would
Yeah, and
appear that way in the background.
it's a great depth of field too. It sharpens
It really,
you and gives
yeah,
that, like I said, it feels like Vegas to me.
yeah, he did a great job. Yeah.
Oh, I love this. Uh-oh.
Thank you.
Now, is Professor Snape behind you? No, just kidding.
So yeah, thank you for sharing this. I do a show every year called The Night of the Raven. And it's where I perform my straitjacket escape while reciting the Raven. And you were kind enough to come see my show Haunted House Calls, where I tell the full story, beginning, middle, and end of that. But in The Night of the Raven, I perform once a year, and this is one of the promo shots that I use for it.
What time of year would you do that? Huh?
Well, yeah, I used to do it around October, but now because of the Magic Castle, they asked us to do it in late November because it would fit in their schedule. So when the castle was open, I did it in late November.
Wow. Love this. Love the artwork. Love the design. This is classic. I mean, I'm old, so I'll admit it, but this is classic magician. You see this outside the theater. You see this, remember newspapers? Do they still make those?
I know, right? Yes. Yeah. This is an old publicity photo of such a magician, and a friend of mine named Richard Lale. He is a graphic designer, and he loved this image, and he's also a very supportive friend. And yeah, and he slapped the headshot that you showed, I think 2 pictures ago, where it looked like I was in Vegas. He took that same face and slapped it onto this magician who does have a tuxedo. And this is the result. Yeah, it's one of my favorite gifts that anyone's ever made for me. Yeah.
Very cool.
Thanks, man.
Okay.
Yes. So here again, I'm celebrating a moment with the audience. Hopefully, it doesn't look like I'm angry, but
No, is that a vest again? Is that a vest?
It is a vest. And speaking of graphic design, in that first photo where you thought I was being angry, you might remember there was a microphone right about here.
Mm-hmm.
And I live on these microphone necklaces because I always have to use my hands. And that particular moment, there is a microphone there, and another graphic designer, a good friend of mine, Mike Rose, got rid of the microphone. And so this is the end result.
So I'm curious on stage, because I've seen a lot of, well, I don't know how much they cost or whatever, but I've seen a lot of like magicians and performers, especially jugglers. they have what's called the mic bud, which is a kind of an earpiece that has the the little Madonna stick, I call it. I don't know.
Yes.
Do you,
Right. No.
have you used one of those?
Yeah, in general, for my experiences, I've discovered it helps to use the mic system that they have at that particular venue because it's already set up for it. And so that necklace that I have fits almost every microphone. It is rare that I find a microphone where it doesn't fit. That said, you're absolutely right. Jugglers especially, they almost have to have a headset of some kind. So for instance, the necklace probably wouldn't work because it would just keep banging against their chests as they're moving around and flailing their arms.
Well, even
So
as you said, as a magician, I would imagine you're pulling handkerchiefs or whatever. You're kind of bumping the mic or whatever. But you probably got it down to a science, right?
yeah, I mean, if it's right here, it's unlikely that my hand will go in this direction, but it is something to think about. And yeah, if the venue does have one of those headsets, I always use that instead.
I love this.
Thank you. Yeah. So the background, not within the frame, but outside of the frame, is the background of the Peller Theater, one of the theaters at the Magic Castle. And I was given permission to take one photo there. So I'm posing in front of the Peller Theater, but then again, my graphic designer friend, Mike Rose, he created this vision of kind of like a Hogwarts castle behind me within the frame. And I like this picture very much.
Right. So are you physically holding anything right now, or is it just
No, yeah, he put the frame in for me as well. I'm actually not
wow?
holding.
Very good.
Yeah, he did a great job. Yeah.
Yeah,
And yeah, that was another day at the when I that headshot that had the King of Hearts on my forehead. This was the same day in the same place.
yeah. Okay. I
Yeah.
think that's the last one. All right.
Yeah.
Let's
Thank you.
venture forth into where people can go and check you out on the intraweb.
Right.
I think that's what some people are jokingly calling it.
Yeah.
Let's see. And poof, this is your website.
Thank you, Micah the Magician. Yeah, it could always use some updating, but I'm still proud of it. This video took a long time, but I need to make a new one. But another friend of mine, Misspent Youth, that is her stage name. She designed this for me. Oh, and the video that you're scrolling through right now, where it says "Real Magic with Lori," that was my submission to Penn and Teller's Fool Us, and they told me that I am still in consideration. So let's see if it.
We've caught a couple of those shows. I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of cool how they do it, and it's
Yeah.
great that they give recognition to people, everyday people who are doing magic.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be great. Let me know when you get on.
I will let the universe know if I get on, and I will definitely let you know. Thank you, Lorenzo. But yeah, if anyone has time to watch that video, that's what I submitted to them. And there's that Straitjacket Escape that you were kind enough to see, Haunted House Calls. There it is right there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And there's,
Any
oh,
place
and
to go on your website or where?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Any place I should go, we should look at real quick or no?
Oh, well, I just wanted to point out something. If you don't mind scrolling down one more time. Yeah, just there it is. So there's that microphone that I said.
Oh, yeah.
And my friend was kind enough to remove. I think it's cool with or without, but it is pretty sweet what graphic designers can do. But yeah, you can go to any link, any visitor can go to any link. Just about everything I do is there. And yeah, it includes descriptions of some of my effects, some of the things that I do.
So there's no gallery or anything like that?
Well, between the photos that you see and the two videos, we felt that covered just about everything we needed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you have, ta-da.
Right. And here are some videos. The first two I'll mention. There's that Real Magic with Lori again. But then the first one, Real Magic with Kira. Kira was Lori's daughter. And Kira, it's a little hard to explain. If anybody has time to watch the video, you'll know what I'm talking about. But in the video, the person sitting next to me has to make the magic happen, not me, but them. And so here I'm introducing Kira, and I'm explaining to Kira and to the audience that we're going to use this jumbo-sized deck of cards. she actually shuffles them, and she, without looking at any of them, has to figure out which card is which. And she ended up doing better than her mom. And her mom did a great job.
Really? Very cool.
Yeah. So so I don't mean to make you sit through the whole thing, but there's Kira. She just shuffled the cards, and then it's her job to figure out what the card is without looking at it. And she did a bang up job. She knocked it out of the park.
So what's the word? Your specialty is close-up magic, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Because you mentioned
I don't have
jacket. How much escape magic do you do?
That technically is the only escape that I do. I don't do a whole lot of big stage magic, although, as you say, the straitjacket could apply. What's that?
Wait a minute. You don't wear the straitjacket and all the chains and then be lifted upside down into a vat of a huge water tank.
Right. Unfortunately, I don't have that kind of budget. I do know I have a few friends who actually add things to the straitjacket, like the chains and the things that you've mentioned. But for my particular purposes, I'm also trying to tell a story about a magician who escaped from a straitjacket during World War II while reciting the poem The Raven. And so I reenact that moment in history. I reenact that act, so to speak. And so I don't have all the bells and whistles, but it is one of the few things that I do that I would say are genuine stage effects or routines. Most of what I do is more close up, as you would say. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So, did I ever get who your favorite magician is? Your personal favorite? I don't think I did.
Well, Jeff McBride is the one that I.
Right.
Yeah. But everybody you mentioned, and that's why I repeated them: Doug Henning, David Copperfield, and I do like Chris Angel. But you're right; he is a very specific style, and if you're not into that style, you might not be as into him. But all of those guys, I really admire.
Wow. Okay. So here's one of my favorite questions to ask people, especially now that I have an official magician on. People watching this, or kids, hopefully kids, you're out there watching this and learning. What would you suggest to those who have never done magic, but they want to get into it? What should they do to check it out or see if it's something they can do?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Back in the day, like before YouTube, I would always say things like books, and even DVDs, magazines. There are all kinds of resources. Going to your local library, there's a good chance there's a book on beginning magic. And like we talked about, it's surprising how good a lot of beginning magic is. You can go to a toys. I went to a Michael's the other day, and they sold a magic kit. And Penn and Teller selling them, Justin Willman selling them, all sorts of ways to get in. Another really good way is to find a teacher who can show you. A teacher can often offer you shortcuts. Oh, you know what? I made those mistakes too, and here's how you can avoid them. And they can watch you specifically and help you specifically. And now, as you say, in this new theater, it does provide a unique opportunity where the magician can't necessarily visit you at your home, but they can come to your computer screen. And now I've been teaching a lot of magic lessons. Andy Schultz from Worst Ever Productions is one of my students. Sebastian Munoz is not only one of my students, but I perform alongside him in the Night of the Raven and some other events. And it's a unique opportunity to find a mentor, find a teacher, and start learning.
I mean, can you talk about, are they affordable? I mean, how do you?
Well, that's another good question. At the beginning of the quarantine, I launched a pay what you can lesson campaign where I was just happy to work with people. And it is tough paying the bills that way, but I do give discounts, especially to friends, to friends of friends, and often, depending on my students' needs, usually the first lesson is free, just so we can get a sense of do we work well together? Do we click? Are we on at least some similar page so that we can continue? And
have you had issues with people that you couldn't teach?
That's a very good question. I feel that everybody can do magic of some kind. The question is up to the student. Do they have the focus? You know what I mean? Are they willing to practice at least a little bit? And that's the real question. And for some people, the answer is no. They just can't focus.
And that's probably because of what, their attention span. They're not patient, because anything you learn, you're going to screw up, the first 20 times until you kind of get, kind of thing. So, about you
Yeah,
mentioned the
I
kits.
screw up. Yeah,
I'm sorry, you mentioned the
yeah,
kits earlier that you can buy at Michael's or whatever, Penn and Teller. Are
yeah.
they are they the traditional, kind of little fingering hand tricks? Or are they
Yeah.
like, bolder kind of thing?
Well, it is the smaller stuff because one, they are geared to kids. It's got to stay simple. And two, it can't be too big or expensive because then it's too big and expensive, especially for them. But yeah, a lot of the tricks that you buy in a magic kit today are similar effects that you and I would have gotten when we were kids or beyond. Sometimes they've tweaked some things, sometimes they've improved some things, but it's all basically kid-friendly stuff, plastic, cardboard, maybe little sponge bunnies, that kind of thing. But it's a great way to start learning.
Absolutely. And there's a ton, I
Yeah.
believe, of card, tricks and card decks and things like that. In fact, referencing Dick Van Dyke for the hand magic that he did, there was also an episode where he used trick cards as a magic trick. And, the wheels on the back represented the suit and
Right.
where you're guessing cards kind of thing. So,
Yeah, yeah, and there are all kinds of things that you can buy online, and even the brick and mortar shops, and they are dying out, unfortunately, even before the quarantine. But there's a place called the Magic Apple. They're situated in Studio City, but they can serve just about anybody in the country, maybe even in the world, and they
they're still
can help
around?
you if they're still around. They are online, but you can visit the store in Studio City if you are local, and they can get you started. They teach classes online that I've been a part of.
Yeah,
They
and
have all kinds of
That's Studio City, California, and Los Angeles for those watching everywhere else. So you might
correct.
want to
Yeah,
check out your
I should make
local
that clear.
cities. Yeah. Anybody
Yes,
watching, you might want to check your local cities or Google, magic shops, magic stores, that kind of thing, and you can find them.
sure.
Switching gears now,
Yeah.
how would you recommend a person getting into the acting business?
Oh,
Um,
that's oof.
uh-oh.
that.
Uh-oh. That's not a
uh,
good start.
yeah. Well, I
Don't
the,
do it.
the
Okay.
the cool thing about magic is that you can decide how far you want to go. You don't have to be a professional. It could be a hobby. Anybody can sit down and start practicing magic. Acting is very different. You can sit down and start memorizing a monologue, but that doesn't mean you will have the necessary feedback you need from, say, a director, from an audience, that kind of thing. Magic needs audience, obviously, too, but you can still practice and practice and practice and get better and better and better, and then get ready for an audience. But how exactly would that work as an actor, I think, is very different. So and then you would still need an agent, and you would have to figure out where the auditions are, and you would have to get the sides, and you would have to hope that your agent doesn't drop you. And there's so many factors that are out of your control, where magic, you have some control. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
but as far as the acting side, I mean, in defense of the acting, because you're really kind of painting a bleak picture of the acting world. Um, Other guests that I've had, other actors, professionals, and performers and things, have always said, if you're interested in acting, and I want your feedback, um, to go to check out theaters, try auditioning at theaters, learn the craft in local theater, community theater, that kind of thing. If it's for you and you get a thrill out of it and you absolutely love it, I'm told, you 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 can pursue it because it's a passion. It's not a job. It's not a thing to do. It's not a hobby. And then people will recognize you. People will train you. People you'll learn, the business or whatever as far as acting goes. And then maybe you get this agent. Maybe you get auditions. Maybe that kind of thing. So how do you feel about that?
Oh, I mean, these are all good points. And when I painted such a bleak picture, a lot of it was because of the quarantine.
Oh,
So, for instance, you can't go to the local theater and audition. You can't go take classes at the local theater. You can't rehearse with the cast. Everything's changed. While a magic trick, you can practice it all you want and maybe even show it to someone on Zoom. Do you know what I mean? To me, it is very different. That said, everything you said is true, but the rules have drastically changed. Now, what you would have to do is find a theater. You can't drive by one and find it because they're closed, but you might be able to find one online. And then maybe, hopefully, they're hosting some sort of stage reading. And then hopefully they will allow people outside of the company that they already had before the quarantine to maybe read some lines or try a part. And then hopefully you can start to build a relationship with that theater company online, which is not the same as rehearsals and putting on a play, which is what they would normally do. And then gradually build that trust, build that relationship, and then hope that when the quarantine is over and the plays come back, live theater comes back, you can be a part of that. That is all still true. And everything you said is obviously true. All I'm saying is that magic has the advantage where you don't have to wait for all of that. You can learn a trick on YouTube or from a book. You can practice it. And then if you wanted to, you could make a YouTube video of your own saying, hey, here's a trick I learned. Let me show it to you. And you can share it with the world.
I'll open up a magic shop online on the YouTube channel kind of thing and
yeah,
get feedback.
Right. Yeah. It's
a different kind of feedback, though, because in live theater, you got, like, you're doing a play, it's a comedy, it's a drama. You know if you're doing your job, if the audience is laughing or crying or booing or whatever, and when to do it and how to do it, because every audience is going to be different. Some nights you can have a, dead audience, and other nights you're going to have it's just going to feed everything you do. But you don't have that with YouTube, other than the chat, the commentary, and all that stuff. You suck. No.
And that's certainly a trap of this new era. And you're right. As an actor, you almost have to have that instant feedback, as you say, just to navigate, okay, how is this audience interacting with me? Do I need to change this? You might be able to do that on the fly, especially if you have enough experience and practice.
If you do live too, like live streaming.
Well, sure. Although so much is taken away if everybody's muted. Or if they're not muted, now you're dealing with all this kind of drama and background noise. It's a completely different animal.
Wouldn't you say that magicians use comedy as a big part of their routines?
A huge part of their routines, yes. And that's another issue. Magic and theater overlap so much. And you're absolutely right. Now, when we're doing it on Zoom, the one thing that we can say is, did the magic trick work? And if it did work, you can at least say that. Even if and I worked for an audience just about a week ago where the producers did not the audience liked me, but the producers didn't like my style, kind of like you and Chris Angel. But at least I could say that the magic trick worked, you know what I mean? But you're absolutely right. We rely on those moments, and so often you can't get it on Zoom. It's tough. It's tough for everybody.
I gotta ask now. You said I've seen you perform. What about your style would make someone not happy? You're
Thank
funny.
you.
You're funny. You create these illusions. You've got storytelling as well. What, if you don't? Can I ask? I mean, what was their issue?
They didn't tell me. I'm not sure. And to be honest, I didn't want to pursue a conversation with these people.
Okay.
Because again, as far as I could tell, the audience liked me, and I did get some genuinely good feedback from a number of audience members. But you never know. They apparently did not like my sense of humor. And that kind of thing is tough to deal with. You just got to keep moving on and hope that the next audience likes you. The next 2 shows I did after that went well, and I'll be performing tonight for these guys. They've always been supportive, so hopefully they'll like it tonight. But you never know, and it's tough without that feedback. It's tough doing it on Zoom, man. It's not easy.
Wow. Have you got a lot of criticism from fellow magicians? Are they?
Oh yeah. No one likes to criticize you more than your peers. And
is that a good thing?
What's that?
Is that a good thing?
No, I don't think so. I'm not a big part of it is my own ego. I'm not a big fan of criticism in general. I don't do it myself. But magicians love to criticize.
You're saying if you see another magician perform and do a trick, you're not going to comment on it?
Never. I don't think that's my job. I think it's my job to support this person. Now, if they say to me after the show, hey, what'd you think? I will tell them, but I'm still going to do it with respect. Do you know what I mean? And 9 out of 10 times I love what I see anyway. And I recognize it takes bravery to do what they do. It takes bravery for someone to say, Micah, what did you think? That is an act of bravery because they don't know what's going to come out of my mouth.
Right.
So 9 out of 10 times I liked it anyway. And then I'm still going to do it from genuine respect. So
right. For me, I like constructive criticism.
Sure.
You know, you suck doesn't work for me. But if you say, you know what, you wear these red hats and it makes you look your face look like a pumpkin, and I'm like, oh, that's something I could run away with.
Well, okay. Here's the thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you did. To me, you brought up a very good point. For me, what difference does it make if I, Micah, don't like Lorenzo's hat? I think that's a ridiculous thing to say. Because Lorenzo wants to wear that hat. It's part of Lorenzo, and none of this experience would even exist without Lorenzo. So why not enjoy the things that Lorenzo is, that he's bringing? Yeah, like his Kirk Yoda that I accidentally said Spock, like his hat. To me, it's ridiculous. There are some things in magic that are technical that do need to change. Like, for instance, if I had a card in my hand and I wasn't supposed to let you know what that card was, but I was holding it in such a way that you did, those things do need to change. Do you know what I mean?
So somebody on the outside, another magician would say, hey, you realize the angle of that card is a little too high?
And right, exactly. Yeah, to me, that is helpful criticism because it's something that needs to change. But if someone said to me, Micah, I don't like that sweatshirt you wear because it makes your head look like a pumpkin, you're missing the point. Do you know what I mean? I love the way you look because you do look different, than me, because it is part of your style. It's your style that made this whole thing exist. I had a magician once. There's a trick. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but it does appear in some beginner's books, where you're actually able to control your pulse. And the secret, yeah, it sounds crazy. And I actually did it in Haunted House Calls, the show that you were kind enough to attend. But there's one secret. This is not what I have done, but one secret is, and some people may be familiar with this, is to take a tennis ball and just ram it up under your arm and press it against your chest,
cutting your circulation, the artery.
It can cut off your circulation, and by the pressure you apply to this tennis ball, it will allow you to affect the speed of your pulse. Now, that's not what I do.
In the one arm, not your body.
Correct. You're right. And this doesn't harm you in any way. This does not harm you in any way. It's just slowing down your pulse because, as you say, it's kind of cutting off the circulation a little bit. But it doesn't hurt you in any way. I don't want anybody on YouTube land to freak out. But that is not what I do to slow down my pulse on stage. And in fact, what I do is a lot riskier. I don't mean more dangerous, but it doesn't always work. But one of the reasons why I do the way I do is because some people are familiar with the tennis ball secret. So I performed that once, my version, for a bunch of magicians. And I'll never forget this. One of the magicians came up to me after the show, and you can see when they're going to give you unsolicited criticism. You can see it a mile away. And he walks up to me and he says, just so you know, I could see the tennis ball under your arm. He said, I could see the tennis ball, Micah, under your arm. I don't use a tennis ball. So this guy's need to criticize me was so powerful. He hallucinated a fluorescent tennis ball under my arm. He actually saw it under my arm. And to me, that sums up a lot, like 90% of criticism. It's just people who need to put you down, and they will even invent crap in order to do so. This guy genuinely believed he saw it.
Right. As a critic and reviewer, I got to say, from editors and people that I've worked with, bad news, negative news is always far more interesting to them than, the truth.
I agree.
These last 4 years, I think we've lacked truth and science. So it's like
no politics. We said no politics.
Okay. Okay. I got it. Before we wrap this up, I got it. Yeah. 2 questions came into my head. So talk about, what should I ask you first? Okay. Have you been on stage and had I don't want to say funny moment or embarrassing moment, but a moment that just surprised you so much that kind of took you out of your performance, like because it was either funny or silly or whatever? What was that, if any?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I think just about any magician or actor has a story like that. And you made me think about all the weird moments, especially as a magician. But I think my favorite one, ironically, didn't happen during one of my shows, and it's created something that I call the birthday cake effect. And it's another advantage that I think magicians have that unfortunately actors don't have. And hopefully, when I explain, you'll see what I mean. Um, Magicians, since we are trying to make the impossible happen, since we are expected to make the impossible happen, sometimes the impossible will happen and we didn't mean it. And we take credit for it anyway. So I did a birthday party for a girl. I think her name was Sarah. She was turning 8. I did the birthday party. I performed a magic show. And at the end, the mom said to me, thanks for coming. Would you like some birthday cake? And I'm like, yes, that's why I got into showbiz. Free food. Yes, please. What's better than free food? Free birthday cake. Yes, please. So I'm hanging out to get my free birthday cake, and I can't wait. So the mom brings out the birthday cake for little Sarah. She puts it down and on the table, and Sarah leans over and blows out all the candles. Well, you can guess what happens. The candles immediately relight. And I'm waiting for my birthday cake. I'm like, when's my birthday cake coming? I want my birthday cake. The candles relight, and every kid, including Sarah, looks at me. And I'm standing there with my fork and plate and my napkin. I'm going, where's my birthday cake? Where's my birthday cake? And everybody's looking at me, and I'm like, why are you? Oh, Sarah, I swear to God, Sarah looks at me and she says, I saw that, magic man. You leave my cake alone. Like they were blaming me for this. So I just stared at them, and yeah, right. And I just
where's mom? Is she in the corner laughing?
Mom is in the dude. It's like you were there. Mom is in the kitchen. She's crying. She's laughing so hard. And Sarah is having an argument with me. You don't do that, magic man. This is my birthday cake. And I just looked at her and I said, I'm so sorry. I can't control my powers. And she said, well, you better control it now, magic man. So she leans over. She blows over the candles again. But this time I put my fork down and I go like this with my fingers. The candles relight. She looks at me, and Sarah's now busted me. I saw you, magic man. I saw you wiggle your fingers, you magic man. You said you weren't going to do anything, and you did. I totally busted you. Sarah has now won an argument that doesn't exist. And I say, oh, I don't know what happened. I'm so sorry. This goes on 3 or 4 times, and I'm a little more cool.
Getting creative, aren't you?
Being creative. The mom is holding her. She's holding back the tears. She's laughing so hard.
And she didn't tell you, right?
She didn't. I had no idea. This was a surprise to me too. And now I'm taking credit for a miracle that's cooler than anything I did in the show. Sarah is arguing with me because she's won her point over this adult who's clearly lying. There's so much drama. This is theater.
How did it end? Did you go over and put out the candle?
I had to help put out the candles with the mom, and Sarah was finally mollified. Well, it's about time you did something helpful, man. And that was the best tasting cake I've ever had in my life.
Uh-huh.
And
her mom's got a story for the rest of her life.
Right. I should have. Yeah, that was some of the best cake I've ever had.
Okay, question number 2.
Yeah.
Being a magician, have you met, or what was the most, I don't want to say moving, enlightening experience in meeting somebody that you respect, idolize, fan of, geek out, whatever fanboy, whatever you want to use? Who is that for you?
Well, I did get to meet David Copperfield, and that was just a highlight of my life.
How was he?
Super nice. It was very brief, but it was at a magic show that I was performing in, and he was visiting. And it was super brief, but he was very kind. Chris Angel was very nice to me the 2 times I met him at the Magic Castle. Another reason why I'm still a fan. But when I was performing at the Magic Castle, and I was performing all this magic, and I was thinking about my inspiration, Jeff McBride, the guy that I've mentioned, and I was doing all this magic, and I remember in the back of my mind thinking, wow, Jeff McBride really inspired so much of this. And I looked up, and past the lights in the back row was Jeff McBride. And I just froze for a second, and I thought, oh my God, I hope I'm not stealing. And he's such
Why would you think that?
well, because he's such an inspiration to me. I wouldn't want him to think that I was just copying him. You know what I mean? Because
so you borrowed some of the tricks?
Right. And I don't mean to say that I was doing anything unethical. He is a mentor of mine and an inspiration, and he has inspired a lot of my material. But for a second, I just froze, and I thought, oh, I hope he doesn't think I'm copying him. I really am inspired by him. And later that day, he lectured at the Magic Castle. And it was at that lecture, he said, here's a trick that I should show you guys. Oh, and by the way, did everybody see Micah's show? Well, he did something like that. Let me tell you how it works. And so my mentor used me in his lecture later that day. So that was like a capstone of my career right there.
Wow. Did you physically meet him, like shake his hand and all that?
Oh yeah, I've met him several times, and so when I was a kid, I studied Jeff McBride from afar through magazines and books, and he was a hero. My parents got me tickets to a New York Magic Symposium, and I got to go, and I missed Jeff McBride by one day, and my heart broke. And the guys I saw were wonderful, but I missed my hero by one day. And it wasn't until literally decades later, I moved out to LA, and I find out almost as soon as I moved out here to LA, that Jeff McBride is playing a theater called Magicopolis in Santa Monica. And I freak out, and I buy like the last ticket available, and I drive down to Santa Monica. Let me say that again. The local people, your local fans will know what I mean by this. I drive down to Santa Monica. That's how much I love this man. I drive to Santa Monica and back to see this guy. Santa Monica. So it took 3 hours. But anyway, I finally got to the theater, and I'm sitting all the way up in another zip code. And then Jeff McBride did something I didn't know he did. He comes out from behind the curtains in the stage, and he starts talking to the audience before the show begins. And I thought he was doing it just to be a great guy, which he is, but he's also scoping the audience. Oh, this person is sober, I'm going to use them. This person is smart, I'm going to use them for the trick that has a lot of instructions. I like her laugh a lot for the comedic piece, that kind of thing. The man's brilliant. I didn't know this. I just saw him talking to people, and I'm like, Jeff McBride needs to meet me. So I go bounding down the aisle. And again, it's in another zip code, and I'm not in shape. So it took a good 10 minutes or so. But finally, I get to the bottom of the stairs of the aisle in between all these seats. And there's Jeff McBride. And without thinking, I grab his hand and I start shaking his hand. I start pumping it up and down. And I'm staring at him, and I realize I'm not saying anything. And so for Jeff McBride, this complete stranger comes just running out from the inky darkness and grabs his hand and starts pumping it up and down and says nothing. And Jeff McBride, my hero, this guy I've waited my life to meet, his eyes get as big as flying saucers. And I realize, I got to say something. I didn't plan this. I got to say something. And it's my first impression for my mentor. It better be something good. It better be something clever, something memorable.
Okay.
And again, I apologize to anyone who this is true, and I mean no offense by this, but in the back of my head, I'm thinking, Micah, you got to say something like, Mr. McBride, if I were gay, that's all I got. That's my A material. Mr. McBride, if I were gay, that's all I can think of in the moment. And I now have realized in retrospect that perhaps when meeting one's hero, one should not open with gay material, especially when one is nervous. So I'm shaking his hand up and down, and I realize I got to say something now. And I say, Mr. McBride, if I weren't so gay, and the front row goes, and I'm still shaking his hand, and I'm going, no, that's not, no. And I said, no, Mr. McBride, listen to me. What I'm saying to you is I am gay, but I'm not straight. And I'm still shaking his hand. And the first 3 rows go, and I'm like, no, that's not what no. Listen, what I'm trying to tell you, Mr. McBride, is I'm not straight, but I am gay. And I'm still shaking his hand. And the audience goes, and I'm like, no. Jeff McBride yanks his hand out of my grasp, gracefully, because this man's graceful, not me, gracefully places it gently on my shoulder with his free hand, gestures to the audience and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, my opening act." And that's how I met my lifetime hero, Jeff McBride, by proposing to him in this weird gay marriage ritual. Anyway, that's how I met Jeff McBride. And that's a true story.
Wow, I don't think anyone can beat that story. Oh, wow. Wow. And you've met him since, right? You said?
Yes.
Does he remember you?
I think he's repressed it.
Okay. Don't bring it up. Don't bring it up.
I'm not going to bring it up.
Unless he does, but don't bring it up.
Right. If he brings it up, then it's okay. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he's repressed it. But yeah, I still see him at the castle once a year when it was open, and I still see him every Monday night. You're right. I don't bring it up, but I will never forget the only man I've ever proposed to was my
maybe
teacher,
30 years down the road, you can say, "No, I was your opening act 30 years ago." And he's like, "What? Let me refresh."
for our anniversary 30 years from now. That's brilliant. Yes, Lorenzo.
Now, see, now that's a great story. That's a great story.
Thanks,
okay. Any final words you want to tell everybody watching about anything?
Yeah, well, the last thing I just want to say is you had asked about how does someone get into magic? And a good way is to just attend a show like yours, Lorenzo, because you have been so kind to reach out to actors and performers and magicians like me. And there is an overlap. So even if you're not a magician, if you're a performer of some kind, and this is something that I need to do too, I need to watch your episodes because we can all learn from each other. And this is an excellent time to do so. It's a unique opportunity and we should all take advantage of it. And didn't
you say to subscribe too? I think you said
subscribe, like, and subscribe. Yes, please. Because this is just a great resource for us performers, and it's helping us keep sane. And I want to thank you. It's just been an honor being a part of this, man.
Oh, it's my honor because I get to talk to really exciting people, and some of the, and I have a problem. Sometimes I do these interviews and I hear these words of wisdom and I tend to share them all across the board. So I wasn't trying to instruct you or
no,
things like that.
Not at all, man.
It's just when you talked about the acting, I'm like, wait a minute. You want to scare people away.
I don't want to crush anybody's dreams. It's just, it's always tough. It's even tougher now.
All he's saying is make sure you're dedicated to it. Make sure you learn the craft and you give it your all. Don't half, what it. So
you're right. You do have to commit. This is true. You do have to commit. Yeah.
Oh my God. I tell you, Micah, this was amazing. Time spent with you.
Thank you, man.
I learned a lot. I got to ask some cool questions. Hopefully you weren't uncomfortable or anything.
No, it's a pleasure, man.
Absolutely. So once again, everybody, we both said you need to subscribe. There's a button somewhere around here to subscribe. I'm your host, Lorenzo Marchessi for the Geek Authority Show. And if you haven't, don't forget the bell. There's a little bell. You click that bell. What happens is every time I drop something, an email is sent to you and you can watch it. Okay, a literal bell, but this is a very little image bell. But anyway, if you get a chance, check out my other shows. I have a thing called the TGA's Geek Authority's Mysterious Chamber of Collectibles, where I open my closet, look under my bed, and a couple things under my pillow, and show you what I've been collecting for years. I also have an unboxing the Geek Authority, where people have sent me new stuff, or I've received new stuff. Open it up for the first time in front of you. You see it, I see it for the first time. Get to play with it, figure it out, kind of thing. I also have another show called the Geek Authorities Reviews, Opinions, and Commentary, where I talk about different kinds of things and opinions about experiences or my favorite shows or things like that. I have another show called the Geek Authorities Talk About, where basically family and friends, we got together and talked about our favorite things. And in some cases, there was Space 1999 TV series, the Cobra Kai TV series, as well as a 3-part series, which I didn't intend it to be 3 parts, about Disneyland and California Adventure here in California closing, and how much you really learn you miss something when you no longer have it. And really good show, very emotional too. And my final show, I'm up to 6 shows now, just started, called Making Entertainment. And my idea there is I'm going into productions with cast and crew and production people and writers and directors of one project and talk to them about the creating of that project before it's released or on Zoom or on YouTube or wherever it's going. So I've got a few things that something somewhere might interest you. So hopefully you'll tune in, subscribe, share, like the whole bit. Micah, again, thank you so much. Sorry for my long speech, but I gotta let people know.
Of course. No, that's wonderful that you get all that. You get so much done in a day. It's crazy, man.
I wish it was done in a day, but no, it takes. I'm up to over 50 interviews since the pandemic.
So, like 50.
50.
Wow, dude, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. I just need more people to watch. But anyway, anyway, again, thank you everybody for watching. Micah, thank you so much. Let's tell everyone, you want to say goodbye in a special way because you are a magician.
Oh, yeah. Do you have a minute?
Well, sure.
Okay. All right.
No,
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this quickly. Yeah. I think this will be a good way to end it, but I will do it quickly. So I believe I spelled your. Oh, I know we got a green screen here, and that O is a little hard to see. I might have to kill the green screen, but
that's correct. Lorenzo, yes.
Excellent. Okay. And if the green screen makes it too hard to see, I'll just disable it. Tell me, if you can, one word, a wish that you have for your show. It may be like subscribers or popularity or the name of someone you want to interview, anything like that.
Okay, I got it.
What is it?
Oh, you want me to tell you? Oh, popular.
Please. Popular. Okay, perfect. And I may have mentioned popular, so I don't want to influence you. Do you want to change your mind?
No, that was my first word after you said it when I thought it. So
love it. Okay. So there's your name, but I wrote popularity. Is that okay?
Sure.
Cool. And I just want to make sure there's no smearing, nothing like that. You can still read that clearly?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to take your wish and I'm going to keep it. Let's see, I'm going to try to keep it in frame. So let's see. Normally, again, I'm wearing my haunting.net and I'm wearing my Force of Nature Productions t-shirt, but hopefully you can still see this because I want to keep it in frame. It doesn't really matter if it's out of frame because there can't be any switches because it says Lorenzo and then the word that you gave. That we didn't set that up ahead of time or anything, did we?
No.
Okay. So before I go, and again, I'm going to try to keep this in frame, but if it falls out for any reason, that's okay. We know what it is. When you were a kid, I bet you played with action figures. Is that fair? Yeah, and you still gotta have them today. Oh, is that Captain Marvel? Is that Shazam?
Well, it's Captain Marvel, but Shazam is what he uses.
I love the movie. I can't wait for the sequels. This I think is the first action figure ever made. Can I show you? All right, let's see. Oh, one-handed. Look at that. The benefits of no social life. All right, here we go.
What?
Here is the first action figure ever made. It's literally a stick figure. And this is what ancient cultures would use. Kind of like when you were playing with your action figures, ancient cultures would project wishes and dreams onto the figure. And whatever the figure represented, hopefully happened to that person. Kind of like voodoo. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah. So watch. Now, if you were here, you would actually hold this and you would confirm that there are no wires, no strings. Now, there are some strings holding it together, but otherwise it is exactly what it seems to be. So, Lorenzo, thinking of that wish, popularity, as if the doll were dreaming your dream, I want you to say the word to the doll, rise, when you're ready.
Rise. Oh, my. Oh, my.
Now, again, Lorenzo, if you were here, I would ask you to do this, making sure there are no strings, no wires underneath or above. Now it's time for you to have your dream back because it is yours. So look at the doll and say, sleep.
Sleep.
Ah, no, that's not gold. Now, I know. Yes, hold your Yoda tight. Hold your Kirk Yoda tight. Now, check this out, Lorenzo. If you were here, I would ask you to examine the doll again. It really is just completely harmless. It's just a collection of sticks and strings. But if this were real, we can hope that your wish of popularity came true. Can I show you the piece of paper now?
Uh-oh. All your, oh my God.
And that is the same piece of paper, yes?
Yeah, I can see that. Oh, it's fudged there a little. Yeah.
Exactly. Lorenzo, I hope
Very
all of your
good.
wishes for your show come true. It's been an honor to be a part of it. Thank you, brother.
Well, thank you. Thank you,
Thanks.
sir. That was amazing. I hope you loved it. See, look at the extra stuff you get here. Okay. Tell
Right?
you. All right.
Subscribe. Subscribe.
Thank you. All right.
Ring the
Let's say
bell.
bye, everybody. Oh, and the bell. And the bell. All right. Let's say bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.